Rosemary, when last were you in Grenada?
We were there about 3 years ago. Wayne's mother was from Grenada, and we, the family, that side of the family, went back to celebrate what would have been her 100th year. She was Thomas.
Oh yeah,
related to
Winston.
Winston Maxwell Thomas was a brother.
okay.
The Reverend Maxwell Thomas.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
So who is at Green Street now, if anybody?
Nobody is there.
Okay.
It's just renovated, divided into two. The downstairs is rented out to locals, and the upstairs is kept from where the family or wants to go back, or somebody wants to rent it short term.
Okay.
But I think Green Street has changed up quite a bit there. It's not as residential as it was before there. I think that's happening to the whole of town, really.
The people are moving out of town. That's why the St. George's congregation suffers, because most of us commute into church. We don't live around the church anymore. Royston Lange is the only one who lives around the church, and I'm surprised he's not on yet.
Is Peggy still around then? Is Peggy?
No. Pammy, you answer that.
She is in Grenada.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Not at church, not at church.
But that is a pattern. No. That is a pattern of the Caribbean now, you know, that most of the town residential homes have become business-like now. It has been happening all over, you see.
Yeah, but is that the excuse not to come to church?
No,
it should not be.
The person that Andrew just asked about lives 2 steps from the church. He comes for official functions.
In Port of Spain, we were surprised to discover that some of our members in Hanover, in the heart of Port of Spain, lived in Arima, and they passed some 4 Methodist churches on their way to church.
Just to come back to their own congregation.
Okay, so those are loyal ones.
Yep.
Tell me something. It's one of the things that have been going through my head. So this is not for Reverend to answer, Reverend Silbert, but for the other Franklin, even Andy, because Andy, are you preaching while you're in England still?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have my time.
This new format that we have to have church. Now, we're not like the mega churches in the States who have always televised their services. So they have had their channels and things like that. In the distant future, do you think that people will be willing to come back into a closed environment, even if you get the okay, despite the distance? You think after all of this, people will become too accustomed to televised?
It's going to take a while to pick up again, because, well, we had church here at Road Town for the first time in what, 6 weeks? On Sunday last?
More than 6 weeks.
Oh,
And about
so you went into the church?
Pardon?
You went into the church?
Yes. About 15 persons turned up out of a possible 250.
But he must say too, it was not really advertised. They were not notified. So this Sunday, I think, will be the real check.
Yeah, because
But
we got permission late.
So,
But don't you think that people are still scared to gather?
Yes, that is very much the case.
Yeah.
If people are scared to gather.
yeah, plus two, people were wondering if we had gotten the certificate from the health department, because earlier, about 4 weeks ago, independent church had, I think it was a little service, and the pastor was arrested because he did not have a certificate. So people were saying for hours at time, do we have a certificate? Because you only get the certificate when you have followed all the regulations. So you have to have the markings to stand 6 feet. You have to have the hand washing, etc. And it's when the health department are satisfied that you have this, then they send you a certificate. So if you have church and the police comes by, you just show that I have a certificate.
Be interested
So
in
how
some
do
of
you do
those
the
things.
how do you do the 6 feet apart in a pew? How do you do that?
I think it's the 6 feet is when they were walking in. That's where you'll mark it.
Well, the thing is, well, as I said, it's difficult to answer that because only 15 persons turned up on Sunday. But I think people naturally just pace themselves.
I suppose if 2 in a pew and there are quite a few pews, 1 to each end, that should be fine. We could have that as 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, because we have no central. We have 3 sets of pews, three rows. But the
Okay.
markings are more when you're coming into the church. You don't come in together. We have to do the same thing in the stores when we go on. And the premier says, you must wear a mask. No mask, no service. You tell the business people if a client comes in to buy something or whatever and they don't wear a mask, do not serve them.
But to go back to your question, whether people are going to be willing to come out, I think some people are actually enjoying the online services, and I suppose they'll be tempted to stay at home and listen to that. I went to the dentist, 2 days ago, and the dentist is one of our members. She said, Rev, I went to Bible study online this week for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
For the first time she went to Bible study. Mm-hmm.
We're finding that, Franklin, too. I've got people coming to Bible study who've never been
Yep.
to Bible study before.
That's
I was
right.
making that point today.
So it
And
has
it-
its pluses.
And they're choosing Bible study. If it's somebody from England, from Grenada, they're choosing what Bible study. They're just jumping from one to the next. Say, oh, I'm going to Bible study with this one or that one.
And then we had a case of, one of the earlier services we had someone send a message from Turks and Caicos Islands saying, look, it was so good to see Reverend Eva Nibbs Flores. I remember her from, 1970s in Jamaica. And this was the first time she was seeing her after 50 years.
Amazing, amazing.
So people,
It's interesting.
I'm preaching this Sunday in St. George's and next Sunday in Barbados. Isn't that wonderful?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way,
You're on the
it's
plan.
good.
No carbon footprint.
No carbon footprint, that's right.
Yep. So there are a lot of pluses to it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
saying, Karen?
Jill's been driving up, not driving, but going on the train up and down to London, which is 4.5 hours on the train, 8 or 9 times a year.
Oh, more than that.
Probably more than that. It's just going to go that. I think that will just stop happening.
So we're having to get used to seeing each other again.
So we do see each other a lot more than we have done over the last few years. I get proper dinners.
Mm-hmm.
Andy, what about you?
Well, I think what Jill said about the meetings is, the meetings can happen now with just almost like normal with people all over the world, face to face, and that's going to become much more of a norm. I read something interesting about young people who haven't ever been to church in Britain. There was a study that came out recently. Young people that have never been engaged with church at all, as suddenly through this have started actually listening to some online services and preaching, and there's some interesting interesting stats around that, and whether people are able to access things much more because of.
Is it being able to? Is it being just able to access things much more readily, or is it because of the lockdown too? They are looking for varied things.
Yeah. I think there's some of that going on. Yeah.
You can visit a church anonymously, can't you? If you're nervous or shy or you don't know what to expect with the online environment, you can just go and try it, and nobody It's going to jump on you or send the minister around to see you.
Yeah.
And you
But
can,
people come to the Bible study too.
Come to the Bible study.
What?
But,
and the
I'm
Bible
inter-
study is one that hardly had people.
I'm interesting though in some of the things that Reverend Manners was saying in relation to some of the regulations that have been set by the health authorities, because I believe it is the same thing that that would apply for many of the other islands.
Okay.
So it has been or it has not? It has been applied, you said?
I know they are currently discussing some of those things here.
They're discussing.
Okay, okay.
Right.
Our premier was quite adamant from the beginning. We started with 3 cases that he locked us down without even us realizing it. Like at the schools, you were at the school Wednesday and you heard tomorrow is the last day. After that, we are locked down, completely locked down. So we just had one day from the time he heard the 3 cases, we just had one day to get the supermarket, get whatever, and he locked us in. He locked us in for, it was a week first. Then gave us a few hours of alphabetical order to go and shop. And then he locked us in again, you see. But to me, it worked. It worked.
You just mentioned the dentist, Franklin, and dentists are all closed here apart from extractions and not expected to open for a very long time.
We've got a real problem with dentists because of the amount of aerosol that comes into the, using the drills. Sprays all the droplets around. So dentists are doing nothing. Yeah.
I didn't think of that actually.
But,
so Andy, I don't know if we have met, but I heard a lot about you though.
Oh no.
Right.
No, we haven't met, but it's good to meet you. I hope they haven't told you too many terrible things.
Well, we are, there's so many good things, we haven't got to the terrible things as yet.
I'll get there eventually.
So, particularly the folks that better.
Yeah. Had a good time with them. Yeah.
The music and so on.
Yeah, and we, I loved my times at St George's as well. I remember with the choir and going to the village. Après tout. And going to the village and doing up there. Yeah, that was fun. And a VBS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me, Karen or Pammy, Mr. and Mrs. Robinson at Bethel, how are they?
I was going to ask.
Oh. They're doing well.
Okay.
They're doing pretty well.
You're muted, Pammy. You're muted.
Pammy, you're muted.
Sorry. Andy, I was asking you if you remember the stones in River Road, climbing those stones, those big boulders.
Yes.
But when we are doing the what are you doing?
The
Giving us
mission.
pamphlets and so forth. The outreach when we're doing the outreach.
Yeah.
Climbing those big boulders and all through the tracks and so.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. Going house to house.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Mr. What's the fellow's name again?
Trevor Lacquette.
Trevor Lacquette. What about?
Correct.
He's still active. Yeah.
Still active.
Trevor is a little challenged with the new technology, because I called him today and his wife is more with it, but she was not at home. So he's going to miss the exercise.
Okay.
Confess. This one is going to confess now.
Well, it's a good thing I have my wife because I have to depend on her to
put all the technology on. But he's catching on. He's catching on. You see, at the time he thought he would not bother with it. But now he realized it has become part and parcel of life. So you have to, take it on.
Is Trevor still preaching?
Sorry?
Not really. Reverend Silbert, why is Trevor not preaching?
I think he has some health challenges now, so he's not as regular as on the plan as he used to be. So he's experiencing a few health difficulties.
He was one of the he was training when we were there, and him and
Oh, yeah.
Susan and Felix used to come to the manse, but they took their life in their hands because the dog didn't like them. The dog did not like local preachers at all. And so I remember them scared and trembling.
Is that Felix Morel?
Yeah,
Yes.
Felix,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he passed, he died.
Felix, I think we heard that, yes.
Yeah,
But Susan's still preaching.
yeah, very active.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Susan is doing well.
Suzanne couldn't come because she's at work. She works at Cooperative Bank.
He used to be at Barclays.
Yes,
Yeah,
but she moved, she left them and now she's at Cooperative Bank.
Is Rachel still at Barclays?
No, she's retired. Everybody have their drink? And remember, Reverend Silbert says it should be non-alcoholic. Let me let you know that this is not
Well,
rum.
we are
This
all
is coconut.
Methodists.
And
Yes,
those,
this is, I'm
and those
letting
who didn't
Reverend
have their
Silbert
Bible
know
first
that
are
this
not
is
allowed to
coconut
drink.
water.
And those who didn't have their
Not
Bible
vodka.
first or quotation will not be allowed to drink.
So we're watching you.
This is government juice. Government juice.
We have
Fruit
sorrel.
punch.
We are drinking sorrel. Ours is sorrel.
Oh, that's very good.
Oh,
Very
wow.
good. Very
Homegrown
good.
It's a little
sorrel.
cranberry
Oh.
juice here.
And you heard what he said, homegrown. He has been doing quite a bit of gardening,
Gardening, wow.
Ooh,
That's
okay.
getting
great.
sweet potato out of pots and getting everything out of pots. Because we are rather hilly and it's rather
Okay.
dry.
It's dry now on your side?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very dry.
Where's
here
your
too.
glass, Rosemary?
She's
Right,
cranberry
right, right here.
Oh,
It's not red
okay.
wine, it's cranberry
That
juice.
looks
you
like
know.
sorrel as well.
Robbie, where's your glass?
My glass is right here.
All right.
Yeah.
It's juice.
Yes.
It's juice.
Yes.
Andrew and Jill, where's your cup?
To St. George's.
Coffee.
We've got coffee. It's evening for us.
It's bedtime,
It's
really.
evening for us.
Okay, cheers to 200th
Cheers.
anniversary.
Another
Yeah.
200 years.
200, happy 200.
Another
Wish you
200.
another 200.
Wait.
So you said 200 more years of Methodism in Grenada, but I pray that, you know, at least 200 more people would come into the congregation.
Great.
Right now we have it registered as 3 something, 3 plus.
No,
300
okay.
plus.
I don't get that though.
Mhm.
But the attendance is what, like 60 to 100 on a Sunday, Pammy? I
but
don't think we fast.
it is, if you include the overseas members, it's 300 plus, but it is 194 there, about just under 200.
Oh, you mean here in Grenada? I thought the 300 was those in.
No, St. George's.
No, yes, I mean, yes. Living.
Yeah, St. George's.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot bigger than when we were here. We were there. So you've
No.
grown. You've grown.
Oh, no.
No. Oh,
That's the amount on the register,
yes.
not the amount to attend.
Oh,
Average
okay.
70, 18, thereabout.
17.
70.
70.
Zero. Yeah. And a monthly, average monthly.
I think that sounds quite good.
Yeah.
Well, we are trying a lot of challenges. The especially St. George's agent membership.
Okay.
I see. I see the pic.
Are the
I see
Phillips still alive? Lennox and
Somebody was
Margaret
saying that
still
St.
alive?
George's
both
people are not
died,
having
you know.
They
children.
both died. Right.
They both died at 3 months apart, I think.
Okay.
Actually,
No,
Uncle
Pammy,
and
one.
Karen.
1 month.
1 month apart. He would have been
What's
90,
that?
he would have been 100
That's
It
right.
have
Would
been
have been
100.
hundreds.
last Saturday.
Okay. Lennox
that-
and Margaret.
Is that
Lennox
Mr.
and
Philip?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But Joanna has had 5 children.
Yes.
So you know, it's
She's making up.
growing the church.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
He used to debrief you after your synods, didn't he? You and
that's
he.
right. We saw Diane
Online.
online sometime recently.
She said Jim was how old? She said Jim was 70,
65. He was
65?
your age.
Yeah. We saw him, I think, last week or so when he was 65.
Wow. Okay.
Auntie. Franklin's birthday was this week. Franklin was on Tuesday. He was
Oh, we
69.
should say happy birthday.
Yeah, 69, 69.
Be careful, I might ask you to send a cake.
A drink for you, a toast.
Ah,
Yes.
toast, toast. Cheers.
Yes.
You remember Elma Roberts?
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Yeah.
What, Roberts?
Elma. Were you? I'm not sure if you met her. No, she might have
In
been in
St.
the
George?
States when you were there.
She came in our
She's
time.
at Sunnyside
Yeah.
School.
Baker would know her.
Roberts, yeah.
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. Yeah, Reverend Baker would know her.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
ended up to go off to preach.
That's right.
She taught Timothy as well. She taught
taught Timothy.
both the boys. Yeah.
Right, Sunnyside School, right?
No, Kids Learning
Kids
Centre.
learning.
Kids Learning Center. Okay, right. That's when she returned to
Sunnyside was,
Grenada then. Yeah, that's when she returned to Grenada. She had Kids Learning Center. Yeah, she was there.
Is Cheryl still there, Barnaby? Still there?
Yes, she's still there. As a matter of fact, I spoke with her today.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Or give her
I-
a
On Beacon High School. She's at it. She's owner of
Oh,
Beacon High School. She
yeah.
runs Beacon High School.
Oh yeah, we knew it changed.
I am still in contact with Maria Mason. Is Mason?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mason,
Yeah,
Noel,
Maria-
yes.
After the hurricane here in 2017, Irma and Maria, she went out of her way to make contact and she found us through somebody else. I can't remember who. And since then, she has kept in contact with us, you see. So she should still be, she still lives on Green Street?
No.
Oh.
She lives Mardi Gras, St. Paul's up there.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Okay.
She lived on Green Street when you were here?
Yes.
Conrad Mason. Yeah, the Masons
was
live on
Lucas
Green Street.
Lucas
Lucas
Street.
Street.
Lucas Street, I mean, Lucas
Yeah,
Street.
sorry.
Yeah, Lucas Street. Lucas Street. Mhm. Rosemary, remember, Franklin, I always recall, I don't know if you can make a bread pudding as your granny did.
Oh, Lord.
No,
This
no,
is-
she was the queen of that.
Oh my gosh, you just eat and your tummy is full and she offer you more and you want to eat more. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
lovely bread pudding.
Granny Bain.
She was known for her cooking and baking.
Yes,
Okay.
and we were recipients of that. Oh yes, she'd always have something
Yeah.
for us. Mhm.
I think Dorothy Leslie was our cook, really.
Yeah. Oh, I spoke to her today.
Oh, okay.
Is her daughter practicing in Grenada?
Yes.
Yes, she's a pediatrician and what, Pammy, she got a new position at the hospital?
Yeah, she's the chief medical officer.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but she's a pediatrician. She has her
Yes,
own
yes.
clinic.
Okay.
She was
Okay.
appointed a couple months ago, earlier this year.
Okay.
Yeah, because she was on
Married?
TV.
Married
Married,
girl.
yes, and has her own home. Yeah.
She comes to church.
Ask Rev Silver that one, yes. He married
Huh?
them. Ask Rev Silver.
Not as often. Not as often. We are working on her.
Well, tell her we asked for her and we were looking for her.
I will.
On Christmas Day, she invited us to her home for a meal. The mother, that is,
Okay.
Dorothy.
Dorothy.
And she did lay out a spread.
Oh, yes.
And
Always do.
Mark, our second son, insisted that he wanted nothing but oats porridge,
And,
which she did not have in the house. So
Oh,
she had to go next door to borrow some so that Mark could be appeased.
and she had every possible dessert, everything, you know. But Mark didn't want those things, you see.
That is Dorothy.
I think
So
she's still
Dorothy,
continues.
she's keeping well.
Yeah, she's doing fairly okay. She has her challenges and so on, but she's.
We all
still
need a
doing
trip
okay.
back to Grenada.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
That's a reunion of the past ministers in Grenada.
Yes.
COVID.
We don't know what travel would be like now after
After COVID,
post-COVID.
yeah.
Although somewhere on the news today said that COVID will never go away. I was listening to some international news. I suppose the curve will go on, it would go down, but they said it will never go away. Well,
But my mother contends that God needed our attention. He's been talking too long.
Yep.
I
You think
believe
so?
And he sure did get it.
Undivided.
So,
Undivided.
The price
Andy,
is
you
too
think
high
so?
for my sort of
I'm not
God.
sure.
The price
Yes,
of
yes,
death
yes.
is too high. That's not my sort of God asking that kind of price. Over 30,000 deaths in the UK. How many worldwide? I don't think God asks that price to get our attention. That might have been the result, but I don't think that was the reason.
So you wouldn't link this with any part of the Bible?
There's lots of parts of the Bible that resonate, yeah, but I wouldn't say that all the parts of the Bible were what God wanted to happen, but maybe it's too late at night to start that conversation.
Oh, yeah.